What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna work on my stolen recovery Integra GSR. So, last we left off on this, I think we did some, put the 5 lug on. We installed the seats. It's all full of junk now, but so a big goal of mine this year is to actually do something with this car, because I remember we unveiled this car to you guys in June of 2023 when we do 30 for 30. So now coming up on the 3rd year of 30 for 30s, it's kind of a shame that, it's only until June that I do something with this car. So I think it's time that we actually try to fix this car. So for those of you guys that don't know, this car was a complete GSR Integra. My brother and I actually put this car together, I believe 2019, 2020, something like that. Maybe a little later, but basically we took this car from a shell, we got it from our friend, and then we we deleted the side moldings, we put the motor from my original RS in here, and then sold it to some guy in the Bronx or somewhere in New York, somewhere out there. And basically the guy had the car for like a year or so, then he listed it for sale. And he had it for sale for a while. He was asking about like 10, 11,000 for the car. And basically one day the car was just stolen. And the next time we saw it, it looked a lot less like this. So it had steelies. I'll post pictures so you guys can see. But now that you guys are all back up to date with that, I think that the biggest thing to get this car going is gonna be start doing some repairs, or at least diving deeper into it, so we know exactly what needs to be done, which by the look of it, you can tell what needs to be done. So there's about like 6 inches of the frame rail missing here. And then, there's this apron and then the rat support, because this car had a JDM front end, and obviously the thieves being thieves, they just were rushing and they did things the thief way. So I have a whole front cut from basically right about here that I took off of one of my parts cars a couple years ago. So we have all the parts necessary, and my plan of attack is going to be to remove this apron from the frame rail here, and then graft on the new frame rail from the other front end that we have out back, and try to basically build up the apron and maybe the whole rat support, and then measure the distance between wherever the frame rail is cut to where it's supposed to be, and then we'll do like a box here to hold this piece to the next piece, so it'll just slide on, and then we'll weld it together. That way, this piece will be stronger than just like a weld here. It'll be kind of all over crunch zone. So, in order to do that, we're gonna have to remove the fenders and see exactly what goes into removing these aprons, because as you can see, there's some seam sealer here. Sorry, better to look at this side here. There's some seam sealer here. There's some spot welds, I'm sure, like through this seam sealer, through this crack here. So we're gonna remove this. You can see there's also some welds here on the top, which is on the back side of this. So yeah, we want to keep as much as the original parts here. So obviously we're gonna try to keep, we are gonna keep the strut towers intact as much as the frame rails we can, and build off of that. So enough of me yapping, let's just get to it. as you saw, I was using a combination of the belt sander and the drill with a wire wheel to clean up all the seam sealer and expose all the spot welds. So, you know, it uncovered some other stuff that, you know, should be addressed. Like there's rust building behind this seam seal here, which is fine because this whole apron is coming out regardless. So that's not too big of a deal. But what we do have to address is we have to remove a ton of spot welds. And the best way to do that would be by figuring out how many we have and, you know, what exactly needs to happen so we can take them off. So first things first, on the frame rail side, we have 1, 2, 3 on the flat side here. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on 5, sorry, on the side of the apron. And then between the apron and the strut tower, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which then leaves this top rail that has to come off so we could address whatever's here and slide this out. Here there's a lot. There's a lot here. So we have, where's my pointer? Oh, here it is. All right, here we have 1, 2, 3 on the side. We have 1 on the top here. Whatever this is called, this outer structure here has 1, 2, 3 spot welds on this section here. So right along here, oh, you'll see them right here. 1, 2, 3. Look at that, 4 actually. 4 that hold the outer structure to this apron. So this is good, and it's just a lot of work, but it's also good because it gives us multiple points of references to line up the other apron when we, you know, try to put it on the test fit it. Because, you know, we'll have these spot welds here, we'll have these spot welds here, and then we'll have the spot welds on top of the frame rail. So that'll all help us line it all up a lot better. And so I was going to use the belt sander to address all these because, like I mentioned before, I don't want to drill through the backside, which whatever. I didn't want to drill through the backside and basically make holes through here. So, but because we still have to weld onto this, so I was trying to use this here a little bit, and it was just I don't know what's up with this, but this doesn't stay still at all. So whenever, you know, you're applying pressure and putting it there, it just keeps moving like this, or vice versa, the other way. And it just makes it very uncomfortable to actually remove anything. So I went to Harbor Freight and picked up these cheap spot weld cutters. They're like $4 at Harbor Freight. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to, you know, go get them yourself or want to find them. There's also cheaper stuff on like Amazon and stuff, or bigger bundles. These are only sold individually. Amazon or other places you'll find like a pack of like 6 or 7. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm probably just gonna put you guys on a frame rail because I think I counted over like 50 spot welds. So, it was technically a lot less work than I expected it to be. But it did, as you can see here, it did reveal some other stuff, but it's not as in depth as I expected it to be, which is a great sign. So that means it'll be a lot easier. I did butcher this a little bit down here, which in retrospect I should have thought about, but as you can see, it's rusted down there anyways. So, you know, this was not as bad as I expected it to be. Didn't have to touch anything up here. I just did, obviously, the necessary. Didn't really, did I have to do this one? Didn't even really have to do this one, I don't think. I know I must have had to. Did I? No, I didn't even have to do that one up there. So whenever I put this one back in, I just have to make sure I like pry this a little bit and slide it in. So then I don't have to worry about the mounting points up here on the hood, which is phenomenal. Not bad. Take a look back here. So back when I was saying, you know, the spot, I was cutting the spot welds, I knew this, but I didn't think about it. So I saw it, but I didn't think about it. So if you look here, we're fortunate enough to have this view. So you can see that the frame rail is two pieces, an inner structure and an outer structure. They pinch right here, which means that these spot welds are for these two. However, underneath, you can see where the two spot welds were for the for the apron here. And with that applies to not only these three here, but to all the ones that go along through here. So you can see a little bit through there, but get you a better look here. So you can see all that rust right here, and how I kind of chewed this up a little bit because I didn't take out this spot weld, which I knew it was there. I just didn't want to anymore. So now I have the opportunity to just, while I'm in here, clean this up a lot and, you know, coat this the right way and prevent that from happening for the next 30 years of this car's life, if it makes it that far. But I think the pleasant surprise of this video is that I didn't have to take off all this other stuff, which is honestly the best thing ever. Because you know, when you start moving the outer structure, the inner structure, the top structure, then you start then, you know, the hood doesn't line up, the fender doesn't line up as good anymore because that one piece is out, and the fender literally bolts up to this piece here. So had I removed this piece and this little piece here, that's two and three of, so the third bolt's up here next to the rat support. So that means that all three of the fender bolts would be altered, and then a reason for fenders not to line up properly. So I think this is the best way. And obviously when we removed the other part from the other structure, from the other front end, the donor front end, we'll be more careful and take them off properly. So that way, when we start, you know, sliding things in and lining them up, it'll line up as good as possible. But with that being said, it is also, you know, another thing to consider is that Honda doesn't necessarily make the same spot welds on every car identical. So some of them may have more, some of them may have less, some of them may be staggered. So we can't rely on just the spot welds to line it up, but that's going to be our number one thing to go off of, as well as, you know, seams. Like, you know, obviously there's a seam here. That seam should be pretty unison within all Integras. Same thing along here, and such, and, you know, all this stuff that comes forward. So that was a little bit of work, but I will say this to Harbor Freight. If you know, when we first started working with these things, we were just brutes, and we were just like putting the drill to the highest and just freaking running it in, and it will crack these little teeth. I don't know if you guys just focus here. Let me see. But anyways, these little teeth, and every one of these drill bits that you buy for $4 at Harbor Freight has technically two sides. So as you can see, there's two sides with teeth. So if this one starts breaking, you just unscrew this with like a plier, and then you flip it and then you screw it back in, and this starts working just fine again. So I will give it props. I'm still on my first one, and doing it properly, it could go on forever. So to dive into the next side, there's a little bit more in here, just only because the mount actually bolts up here. But again, going off of all the other stuff, I think we'll be fine. Oh, there you have it. I butchered the crap out of this one, but yeah, it's out now. A little bit of rust on this one too. Nowhere near as much as the other side. So this one was a little bit more work, but in reality, it should be easier. I was just being a brute about a couple things, and I was trying not to remove the mount point for the engine mount from the actual apron, which I think is best if I do, only because there's stacked welds on these. So if you see here, like this is a triple stack. Well, not triple stack, but there's 3 different welds right on top of each other. So, you know, when you're removing the welds off of this, you think it's just here, but maybe a better plan of attack on the donor stuff, because it's off the car. I can literally just flip it over and do whatever I want with it. I think the better plan of attack would be what we did with the, you know, with the frame rail here, which would be to hit it from the back, would be to drill it from the back, whatever. It says what it says, but only because you can't, from the back, you'll be able to see the divots of the spout welds are actually attached to the strut tower, not the spout welds that are attached to the engine mount. So yeah, that's gonna be the plan of attack. So I mean, overall, pretty successful day. I think that removing these things is a huge step in actually getting this done. The next thing would be to take the other front end apart and basically start mocking some of these parts up, so we know, you know, how to make better cuts. Because if you look from here across, you can see that the cut on that frame rail over there, hold on, focus, is not straight down, it's at an angle towards the front of the car. So maybe we'll have to get a bandsaw out here and kind of chop that straight. And also we're gonna have to do some, you know, some fixing in here, because these are the mounting points for the torque mount. Same as that side, but that side, I think they're good there, or they might have taken half of it off already. But that stuff we could figure out later. We could literally just, you know, when we put the frame rails in, we could bolt up the torque mount, drill a hole, weld the nut on top, and it'll make the same amount. This one just has if you guys can see it, a flange that's spot welded onto the frame, the outer frame rail, and it just has the nuts on it. So overall, good day today. I think that this stolen car is gonna make a comeback this year, before June, you know, when we do our 30 for 30, I think that the goal for the next couple months is to get this car back assembled, back on the road, and see what we do with it. So stay tuned, because there's more to come on this. Make sure to comment what I should do on this, because if you're a fabricator, you've seen maybe one of my old videos where I'm not that great with it. It is pretty sturdy, so it's not. I guess it's not as sturdy as I said. I'll have is a flux welder, and I could use any input, all input. Please give me input on how to fix it, the best way to approach. Maybe I'll go to Harbor Freight and buy their spot welder. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and turn on notification bell so you can see when we post the next videos. See you on the next one.